Cool. So today we are going to see about the new feature with 3CX for using normal IP handsets as an SBC. Cool. So let's see what is an SBC. So SBC is basically session border controller. So it acts like a proxy in between your physical handsets and your PBX. So it will be more useful if your PBX is cloud-based. And so what it does is it routes all the RTP and VoIP traffic between the physical handsets and the PBX. So so that is SBC. So with the new feature with 3CX, so they are having this from update 6. So 3CX introduces SBC capable IP phones to simplify your setup and modernize your configuration. This not only has removed the need for a dedicated device on the network, but it also much easier and cost-effective way to set up your remote phones. So by deploying a router phone, so your remote location, you can connect up to like 10 handsets that can proxy through the router phone. And so SBC functionality is a key feature of 3CX when used in clouds, as I previously mentioned, and voice traffics can traverse firewalls more easily, more reliably and more securely through an SBC rather than using stun, and it's more recommended. So currently 3CX, the router phones can be set up on these supported handsets. So Fanvils, all the Fanvil V6 series, the V62, V64, V65, and all the X4U, X5U, X6U, and X7 series of the version 2. And SNOM, so the D862 and the D865, and Yealink, so all the T5X series are compatible as a router phone. So what are the features and benefits of a router phone? So if you prefer to avoid any additional hardware concerns or cost, or any hardware cost or a virtual SBC can surface. So if security is considered to be a high concern for your business, so then SBC is critical and it's ensuring high level of security to your network. So what the router phones does is, so it will proxy all the voice traffics to your hosted 3CX. So it encrypts all the voice traffic for security, and you won't be needing a separate piece of hardware like hosting it on a Raspberry Pi or on a VM or so anything like that. So you won't be needing, because you can use a handsets that can be used by a user as an SBC. And it combines all the SIP and RTP packets and VoIP packets to overcome firewall or networking issue, ensuring good voice qualities. And also, if you connect the handsets to the SBC, so it saves bandwidth because all traffic between the IP phones can run via the router phones. And it also saves time and configuring, because configuring a router phone is super easy. So let's see implementing a Yealink T54W as a router phone. So so I've got a, actually sorry, it's a Yealink T53W. So I have a Yealink T50W ready to be configured, and I've also created a user that has a system owner rights, so named as router test. So all you have to do is you need to go to the admin settings of the web client. So please note, so you can only configure the router phone from the web client and not from the management console. So if you go to the admin, and if you go to users, you should be able to see all the users and the test router. So I'm going to the test extension which I created. And if you go to the IP phone, so you can configure a phone in here. And if you click on that, it gives an option to like outside the office or in office. So since this test 3CX is hosted on cloud, so I'm picking outside the office option and then clicking next. So now it defaults by asking which, only giving the router phone option because it's cloud-based. So you need, for a cloud-based PBX or a cloud-based 3CX, you need to have at least one handset, or the first handset needs to be configured as a router phone, and then you can configure the rest of the extension or the other handset as a normal phone. So selecting by default the router phone. Next, and the next would be the model. So we are using Yealink T53W. That would be this. And we need the MAC address of the handset, which I'm going to copy from the web UI and pasting it. Add a phone. Cool. So when I previously said the configuring a router phone is super easy, so that is everything. You select the model, you enter the MAC address, and then click OK. So it will already try to push the configuration file to the handset, save. So you can try refreshing it, but if it haven't picked up that yet, so you can do a manual reboot. So you go to upgrade, reboot, and let's wait until it gets finished. And in the meantime, as soon as you added that handset under the extension as a router phone, you will be able to find the handset added under the zip trunk on the 3.6 management console as an SBC. So since it still haven't got the configuration file yet, it's showing as red. So let's wait until it gets finished. It usually like 2 to 5 minutes time, so it's not longer. Cool. So let's try the admin and admin as the password. I think it's still rebooting. And the reason why I'm trying admin is just to check if it gets the config file directly, because if it gets the config file or got the config file already, the password would be changed to the IP phone's web console password. So let's copy that as well and refresh. Still doing it. Cool. Let's try admin and password as admin. Incorrect password. So that's a good sign because the handset accepted the config. Cool. So let's check the account details. So it's registered. And let's go to the management console. Yep, you can see the Yealink T53W is now configured as an SBC. So yep, so you should be able to see the details and you can see the statistics. So it's up and running. So you can now use this handset as an SBC. And if you want to like configure another handset like through the SBC that we configured, so it's basically add a extension, so add a handset, let's say like T54W, enter a MAC address, so 0000. Sorry, I think I'm missing one. Let me sorry, let's see. Let me pick this one. So if I want to like configure this Fanvil V67 through the SBC, so I'll just change it to SBC and under the session border controller, so the Yealink T53W automatically pops up. So if we select this and then we reprovision, this handset will be configured through the SBC that we've configured now. So let's go back to the presentation. And also, if the handset after a reboot haven't automatically got the configuration, you can still copy the configuration provisioning link and then paste it manually on the web UI, like on the settings, auto provision. You can still paste it in here manually, and then you can make the handset manually talk with the 3CX. And also you can also manually configure the account details and then enter the outbound proxy with the SBC details, and it should be configured, but it's highly recommended to go with the auto provisioning or the um, downloading the config file and uploading rather than manual configuration. So let's go back to the PPT. Cool. So we implemented a Yealink T53W as a router phone. So to streamline the setup, so if you, for example, if you have a customer that has like more than 5 handsets, so it's highly recommended to use an SBC to overcome all the call quality issues or any network issues that you faced on site. And it's highly recommended, and it's mandatory for a 3CX if it is a 3CX cloud hosted like a SMB or a startup. It's always the case. And also the router phone that you're configuring, that needs to be connected through the Ethernet. So because a few handsets like Yealink T54W or a Fanvil V65, they have inbuilt Wi-Fi capability, but the router phone needs to be connected through the Ethernet. But the handsets that are connected through the router phones, like a normal phone, so that can use the Wi-Fi option. And also, when it would be an SBC overkill is, for example, you can configure as many handsets as an SBC as a router phone, but it's not recommended. Yeah, it's not mandatory or recommended. For example, if you have like 10 handsets and configuring 10 handsets and SBC, that doesn't make much point. So you can have one SBC or two SBCs, actually one SBCs, because one SBC can support till like 10 handsets. And if you have like 15 to 20 handsets, you can have like two handsets as configured as a router phone or an SBC, and you can go there. And so in summary, so you get a phone and an SBC for the network combined, because with this router phone, you can use that as a normal handset to like make and receive calls, as well as that acts as a SBC on the back end. And it's cheaper to buy a new like $100 or $125 phone, and rather than piecing it together a Raspberry Pi or hosting it on a virtual machine or getting like a normal NUC and then installing SBC onto it. And yep, so with the router phones, you can set up 10 phones maximum through the router phones, and it's easier to set up. As we see, it's all you need to do is add the MAC address to the web client, and then it automatically pulls the configuration file from the Yealink RPS or the Fanvil RPS or from the 3CX. And it's highly recommended if your 3CX is running on cloud. So, and it's a must for 3CX startup as well as the 3CX SMBs. So, yep. So, do you have any questions? Let me know.
Okay, we've got a question here. Can we rename the SBC given name to better identify it when we have a lot of sites with SBCs?
I don't think it is possible, because the only thing, or yeah, you would not be able to change any of the details. It's unless it's the password. So there is not much you would be able to change once it's configured. And even before, because it needs to like talk to the Yealink RPS as well, the 3CX. So they have certain keywords that needs to match. So it's not possible to change the name or description of the SBC. Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got a few here. For single handset sites, a home office, can we use Wi-Fi on a router phone, or is it just locked to prevent that?
Sorry, come again, Roberta?
For single handset sites, such as a
Yes.
home office,
Mm-hmm.
can we use Wi-Fi on a router phone?
No. So
Or,
if you're planning to use the handset as a router phone, it's mandatory that needs to be connected through the Ethernet. So if you connect it through the Wi-Fi, it would not be registered. And if it is just one handset, you can just connect it directly using the stun rather than going as a router phone.
okay, next question. How many phones max can run off a Yealink router phone? And also,
So the
hasn't the
max.
T4, yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so the maximum number of phones a router phone can support currently is 10. So you can configure up to 10 handsets to one single router phone.
Okay, and we believe that the Yealink T4 series has also been added to have to be router capable as well, which is on the 3CX website.
Okay, I might have missed on the list of available devices, but yeah, I will definitely take note. But the one other thing that needs to be make sure is all the handsets, the handset that you're configuring as a router phone needs to be on the latest possible available firmware, because only the latest firmware had the router configurations inbuilt. So if you're trying to configure a handset and that's running on an older firmware and you see the handsets not getting registered, it's definitely because of the firmware. Any other questions?
I have another question here. Can two phones access failover option?
You can, but it will be like 2 points of failover. So for example, let's see you have a 3CX and you have two SBCs. So you will be having handsets connected through the SBC. You can either through the 1 or 2, or you'll be sharing handset between through two SBCs. So it will be like 2 failover points, but the failover points will be only for those handsets that connected through that. So it's not, you will not be able to like have a automatic failover when this happens.
Okay. If multiple SBCs are set up, would this provide redundancy if the main SBC phone went down?
You can, but for example, if you connect, like, let's say you have like 5 handsets and you have like 5 handsets configured as a router phone. So it's like 5 single points you'll be connecting to the PBX. So it's basically like a normal stun connection. You have like 5 connections. So it is good that on one side it is good because you have like multiple failing points. So even if one is down, so the other one, but also it's basically like replicating a different kind of a stun scenario.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go through these questions because there's a lot of them, and then I'll open it up to unmute everybody so you can also ask. So let me just run through these first. Is there any special port forwarding?
Sorry, come again?
Is there any special port forwarding?
No. So all the 3CX recommended, the 5060s and the 5090s and all the audio and RTP port, that should be sufficient. So you won't need any additional port that needs to be open on your firewall.
Okay. Can two handsets talk across SBCs on the local network?
Yes, it can. So that's one of the main purpose. So it will reduce the bandwidth that's using, because if you have one SBC and you have like 10 handsets connected through it, so the 10 handsets can normally talk to each other inside the SBC itself. It needs to it doesn't need to go out to the PBX and communicate it back to the handset.
Can you run some phones on the network on direct SIP stun and some on the SBC?
Yes, you can. So it's just the option that you're choosing on the management console and the provisioning information. Yes, you still can use handsets, a part of handsets using stun and part of handsets using SBCs.
And that'd be an example of where you've got more than 10 phones at a site.
Yeah. If you have more than 10 handsets, you can have 2 SBCs, so that doesn't make much difference. But still, if you have 12 handsets, you can still have 10 handsets through SBC and 2 as stun.
Okay. All right, let me just unmute everybody and just ask questions. Oh. Just need to know how to do this. Okay, Eddie, you wanted to be unmuted. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question. He kind of answered it, but I just want to get more clarification. I think my question was more very specific about, let's say if you have 2 SBCs on the same network and you have 5 handsets on one and another 5 on the other. My question is, the one on the first, can they talk to across the other SBC on the local network?
Manoj?
Did you hear me? Hello?
Hang on a moment.
Okay.
Eddie, I'm just trying to get Manoj.
Okay, he's muted.
I think I accidentally muted him. Sorry.
Okay.
It's just my
I'll take over.
my, yeah, I can't find you. Sorry, Manoj, I don't know where you are. Sorry, guys, it's just me and my, fudging my way in terms of how to use this.
Don't worry, we all do that from time to time. Go.
Okay. Can you now talk, Manoj? Can we hear you? Oh my gosh.
Yep, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Cool. Sorry, Eddie. I was not able to speak earlier. So your question was if you have 2 SBCs, let's say SBC A and B, and you're asking if a handset connected under SBC A can talk to handset under SBC B internally. Is that correct? Hello? Can you hear me, Eddie? Hello?
Yes, sorry. I mean, I was muted as well. Yeah, that's exactly my question.
Yep. So if it is under the same local network, both the SBCs will talk to each other and the handsets under them will talk to each other. For example, if you have one single 3.6 instances for the same company, but it have 2 sites. So if that doesn't share the same local domain or the proxy, it wouldn't talk to. It has to go from the SBC to the PBX, PBX to the other SBC, and that to the handset. But if it is under the same local network, so they can talk to each other locally.
Perfect. That's good.
Yeah. Any other questions? Any other questions, anyone?
I think that's pretty much a wrap. I think we've answered all the questions. So what we'll do, this has been recorded. we will send through the link to the recording. We'll also send through the questions and answers to the questions so that you've got a record of that as well. So thank you very much, Manoj, for your time today for presenting, and thank you everybody for attending as well. And yeah, please, if you've got any questions, you know that you can just reach out to our Breeze Connect team by email or by phone number to get support at any time. It is of no cost to all of our partners. So any questions, yeah, please just reach out to us. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye for now.
Have a good day. Bye.